Hey all, welcome back to Fire and Water Travel Services. My name is Darren, and today we're going to do our tour walk around of Dubrovnik, Croatia, also known as King's Landing for all you Game of Thrones fans out there. So sit back, relax, we're going to take a nice tour of Dubrovnik. Hey, all, welcome to Fire and Water Travel Services. We specialize in affordable luxury and culinary adventures with all types of travel, including cruises, all-inclusives, and any type of travel that you're looking for. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and make sure you like and subscribe and share this channel. All right. Also, when you go to Dubrovnik in a big cruise ship like the Virgin Voyages Resilient Lady, you have to dock in Graz, which is about 2 miles away. But as you can tell, it's a pretty cool little area in itself. Got some cool houses and stuff up on the hills. It's got a big bridge that you can see. We're going to show you here later in the video. But pretty cool little area. So we're getting ready to get off the ship. So we did a walking tour in the Dubrovnik, and our tour company picked us up at the port entrance, and it was about, like I said, about a 2 mile drive into the city, past a couple cool little areas with some housing and stuff. Everything seems to be built on a hill here, but this is pulling into the area where we're doing our walking tour, and this was the entrance to the city right here. Check it out. All right, guys, so getting ready to enter into the old town of Dubrovnik with our tour guide. And it was, like I said, towards the end of July here, and it was a hot day. It was over 90. It was probably like 94 degrees. And a lot of people were in town that day for tours because there was not just our cruise ship, but there was about three other cruise ships. Most of them were smaller, like um, 2,000 people like ours, but still a lot of people in there for tours that day, plus any people that were there staying in that area. So, but we got to walk into the old town. It's like walking into a castle, but the city itself is just built very fortified right on the water. So it's got the walls all around it. We decided not to do the wall tour where we could walk on top of the walls just for the fact that it was so hot and it was so dry, and they say it's very you can get a heat stroke very easy walking on the walls this time of the summer. So we decided against it. So on the wall here you'll see it's got a map of the old town telling you all the different streets and what's there. So one of the cool things about walking around Old Town is all the different architecture and all the just the way it was set up. Everything was in really good shape. It didn't look as old as it is because it's been really well preserved and well kept up. So all the architecture was actually really, really cool to see. Very clean. Everything was well maintained. Didn't seem like there was a lot of beggars or people trying to hawk stuff to you for sure. But the cool thing about this is this was a water fountain in the middle of the square, right when you walked in past the gate, that has ice cold water coming from the mountain stream all the way down into Old Town. And people will fill up their water bottles, and it's pure, clean spring water, cold, coming down from the mountains. So my wife filled it up a couple times, and we drank it, didn't get sick, and it was very good. So it was a cool little fountain there. These are the walls, guys. They were pretty high. There were some people doing doing the tours from the walls, but like I said, we decided not to do it, just from the fact that it was very hot that day, and I wanted to kind of be down by where the streets and all that, so I could see that. It's kind of hard to do both in the day when it's that hot out. So, but we had a good time anyway, just walking around looking at all the different shops and cafes and markets and all the old architecture. The city of Dubrovnik was built partially by the Venetians, partially by the Romans, had a bunch of different occupiers during the life of the city, but they've really kept it up. And you can tell this is the street names were in stone, and you can tell that's a Roman or Venetian influence there. So pretty cool just to walk around and see a lot of this architecture. This was a church that we got to go into. Now this church was built probably only a couple hundred years ago. It's not really, really ancient, but it's still old enough to where it was very ornate, and it looked like it was from medieval. They also had a market right out in the middle of one of the squares. They were selling vegetables and souvenirs and fruits and baked goods and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of souvenirs and stuff in this market. And we actually came back after our tour and walked around and bought some stuff. But as you can tell, some of the old architecture here was pretty cool. This here was like an old parliament type building where they had a lot of the government activity. They had a couple more churches around, as you can tell, and a lot of other buildings, storage buildings. And this is going to take us out to the actual harbor of Dubrovnik itself. And there was more people coming from some of the other cruise ships that the uh, little boats were bringing them from those ships because they had to not dock, but they had to actually tender in because they had to drop anchor out in the bay. So, but a cool little area. This here was actual on the hill. There was a fort that was built by Napoleon to protect Dubrovnik when Napoleon was in charge of this area. They had actually conquered this area for a while, but that fort actually helped them in the war with Slovakia and all that, from what I was told. So, pretty cool little area. And like I said, we're back in to the city, back in the walls, and like I said, a lot of old churches and buildings like this that you're in awe that they've lasted so long. Um, just amazing. This old clock, it was about 600 years old from what I was told, and it still works. So a lot of things in the city itself, they've kept up really well. And you can tell there's a lot of cafes here that are out in the main street, but they also have some, like I said, that are in these little alleyways. You're going to see in just a second here where they just throw some chairs and put the menu there, and people are out of the heat in the middle of the alley ordering food and drinks. So pretty cool. Everything, like I said, was very clean. The streets were pretty much marble from what it looked like. So it was kind of slippery if it got wet, but very cool. And one of the things I loved right here, if you look by some of these alleyways, if you look, they had steps that go all the way up and out of the city up the hill. So if you look all the way up to the top of this picture, you'll see where the steps just keep going straight up, which was pretty cool. I saw a few alleyways that have those as well. And of course, this is the steps of the Sept from the Game of Thrones, where, of course, shame, shame, shame. And anytime they were going into the Sept of Baelor, you saw these steps. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool to see some of these sites that you could tell that were in Game of Thrones. Of course, these are steps going up to the wall. Again, we didn't do that, but the people that did it, I'm sure were hot that day. This is just back outside where we went in, and the people, you could actually do a tour, kayak around the city of Dubrovnik outside the walls, and people were doing this all day long. So after we left the city, we actually went out to this bridge that kind of overlooked our ship. It's like one of their, I guess one of their landmarks here, this bridge that goes over to another part of Croatia. So they took us to that, and then they also took us up to where the spring is, where the water came from, then the fountain I was telling you about earlier. So this spring actually comes right out of the mountain, and they funnel this water down into the city, and that's where the city gets its water supply. And it's fresh spring water right out of the mountain there. You can't even tell where it comes from because it just comes right out of the mountain. And this little pumping station here was kind of controls the flow of the water. There was actually people swimming in here because it was cold water coming right out of the ground, and it was hot that day. So there was some local boys in there actually uh, swimming in the water. So of course we drove all the way up to the top of the hill so we could look down and see the breathtaking view of Dubrovnik. Here's these other couple cruise ships that were tendered outside of the dock there. Like I said, they were actually tendering people in from those ships, as well as the ones that over by us. So there was a good amount of people there that day doing tours. So as you can tell, guys, this was a really great area here to see the entire layout of not just Old Town Dubrovnik, but the whole area around it. You got to see all the little islands and the ships that were out here tendered, and all that, and other little boats all around. There was people kayaking out there closer to Old Town, and then some were even out farther in the water. I don't know if they were having some kind of event or if it was a tour or what happened, but there was a bunch. You can see right here, all these kayaks out here, kind of far away from Old Town. And then there's ones that were a little bit closer into Old Town as well. And I'm sure that was a fun time. But check it out, guys. If you ever have a chance to check out Dubrovnik, Croatia, do it. So they also have this tram that goes up and down the mountain. We actually had a tour that had a walking tour and a driving tour, but you could also, if you just wanted to walk around downtown, you're by yourself, and then take the tram up to get this spectacular view. You had the opportunity to do that. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm sure, if you're just wanting to do that, it was probably 20 or 30 euros. Wasn't too much. So that's it, guys. We had a great time. Had enjoyed our walk, and heard some of the history about Dubrovnik and all that. I highly recommend it. If you have a stop here, make sure you take the time to do some tours, because it's a really cool place, and a lot of history, plus a lot of the Game of Thrones actions. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Check out fireandwatertravel.com. And all your travel needs, you can give us a call and we'll help you out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Fire and Water travel video.